Good morning, everybody. To see you. You want to talk? Absolutely. How are you? Karina, how are you? What an outstanding name you have. Good morning to you. What are you up to today? Yes, we talk about my morning live streams. We talk about how to grow YouTube, TikTok, social media, how we can all learn to influence people, win friends, all of those type of things. So yes, absolutely. I do a lot of talking. We discuss a lot of stuff that I read. If you're asking what our channel is about, our channel is a just the life and times and the adventures of my wife and I. She's from the Philippines. I'm from the United States. We travel a lot. I have a pretty extensive educational background. We travel, we cook, we have fun. We've got a lot of support, subscribers from all over the world. We do cruise ships and fishing and eating and partying. Well, you name it, you just do whatever couples come about. We do a lot of opening boxes and product reviews because we think that's kind of fun. So we have social media on TikTok and also Facebook. We have a Facebook group and all of that stuff. You know, all right, enough. So that's what we're about. What are you about, Karina? And that's a cool name, by the way. Gerald the Red Duck has reached you. Well, Gerald the Red Duck, I appreciate you reaching us. How are you this morning? Where are you guys from? Say hello to each other. It's really important. What we're talking about in the morning live streams I do, it's communication basically. Good communication, how to use communication to our benefit. And we got a lot of people walking around the neighborhood this morning, even though it's going to rain. You got a kitty cat named Cookie. That's cool. I like cats very much. We don't have a cat right now. All right. Fig says Gerald the Red Duck will give you a challenge with a reward of course you for 5 years. Reward or a curse for you 5. Well, whichever you want to do is fine. I don't need any rewards. I can make my own rewards. I don't need any curses. I can make my own curses. So there you go. Hello, Karina. Thank you for saying hello to each other. I have a girlfriend named Lily. I know, and I got a dog named Lily. Now look, not to offend you, Tony, but I like my Lily better than your Lily. Just saying. Even though my dog Lily's been in the doghouse a little bit this week. Say hello to Gerald. Yes. Everybody said hello to Gerald. Gerald is seeking attention today. I figured, Karina, that you were one of our young people. I kind of figured that. But this is the topic may be a little bit over your educational head, but thank you for being here and subscribing to the channel. Good morning, Tony the Walrus. How are you, buddy? What are you up to, man? Hope you're doing great. Are you working today? What are you doing today? As you can tell, man, it feels like it's in the mid 70s here, maybe upper 70s with a light breeze, but cloudy and rainy. Hello, attention seeking Gerald. Nah. But that's all right. Aren't we all attention seeking? I mean, look at me. Not only do I have a handsome face, I also have a cool hat, some cool glasses, and a beautiful shirt. I am Fig, not Gerald. Well, all right, Fig, we're happy for you. Gerald is the duck. All right, all right. So apparently Fig, Tony, has an identity issue. So maybe they have a split personality. I don't know. Today, no work, jamming with friends. Nice, nice. Well, that's cool. That is good, man. I hope you have a great time with jamming with the friends. You're probably not making any AI music, right? Jimmy's in the house. Chipper today? Yeah, a little bit. Not really, but it's the colors. I mean, I look good. Like I don't mind bragging about my style. I encourage all of you guys to mirror me. I don't feel great, but I feel a little bit better today. I was having some bad days a few days ago. I had a lot of bad nightmares, from my coma, and they when they come upon, they take you down a dark road. So And that's right, Gerald is the duck and I am the walrus. So good morning to you, Jimmy. Good to see you. Karina, my favorite color is blue. So Karina, one of our young followers, her color is blue. Jeff is back in the house. Good morning, Jeff. How are you, buddy? How are things? Does it look like this in Little Rock? You know, are you guys getting weather? I woke up with a little bit. I had a bunch of, I have a bunch of business things to do. I know I don't have a job and I'm unemployed, and I'm one of those deadbeat humans. But I got a whole bunch of emails over the night wanting this, talking about this, doing that, and so I've been answering emails this morning. Just doing good, sunny, and getting hot. Well, you can see what it is here. It almost feels like a spring morning here, a little crisp in the air. But I do get the feeling it's going to get hot if these clouds ever go away and burn off. What today's lesson about? It is great. Great. How to win people to your way of thinking is what we're going to do. Now, and Tony, you're going to appreciate this, everybody, but this is what we're going to discuss today. It's called Part 3 in the book called How to Enjoy Your Life and Your Job by Dale Carnegie. So shout out to them. And once the live stream is over, I go back in and I put more details about what we did in the description so maybe others would care. So ways to win people to the way of your thinking. Now, first thing before we get into this, I am going to tell you to understand, and I was telling Ken this the other day, about a certain party that Tony and I know, that we have figured out that we can't win him to our way of thinking. So at some point in time, you just got to give up and say, all right, it's not going to work. Let's move on. I'm under the weather today. Jack weather. Jack weather? Jack weather. I probably missed one. Jack weather. Now you probably went over my head. Jack weather. What the hell is Jack weather? Waiting for my sister's doctor's appointment. Oh yeah, you had a hot single sister or something, right? So she's got a doctor's appointment. Karina's back in the house saying, I know. Or did we already do? Let me make sure that we didn't already do this section. Oh, sorry. We're actually on section 4. I am a bad host today. I'm a bad host. I screwed up. I got the wrong section. Hang on, let me get to... You guys all know you can fire me anytime you want. That's why I need a highlighter and some bookmarks. You know, I don't have any highlighters anymore. So today's lesson is about how to get cooperation. That's what we want. She's single, yes. See, Jeff is saying she's single. Karina knows what, but would only put that on an enemy. Well, you know, I understand. You know, I get it, Jeff, man, I tell you. I know a lot of women that I would never have them date somebody I like, you know. And I know a lot of men that I would never have them date somebody I like either. So all right, how to get people to cooperate with you today. Don't you have much more faith in ideals that you discover yourself, rather ideals that somebody else has come up with? Or things that, so we believe in the things that we create and come up with. That lady's driving these dogs crazy today. I don't know, she's just doing this around, we got a big neighborhood. You can just go walk the neighborhood. You don't got to walk around my block 27 times. But anyway, I digress this morning. So don't you have much more faith in ideals that you discover for yourself than ideals that are handed to you on a silver platter? If so, isn't it bad judgment to try to ram your opinions down the throats of other people? Or isn't it wiser to make suggestions, let the other person think out the conclusions? Dogs, not well, they don't, and somebody's just, we got a big neighborhood. And it's the same person just doing this, you know. Lily, enough. Well, that's not Lily, that's that other dog. I know. So when we have a concept, ideal, line of thought, something we want to accomplish, we're, like we said earlier in the book, we're not going to get anything by attacking people. And that's why the firecrackers shut them up. Yeah. Well, the sad thing about that dog that's barking over there, the people never paid attention. It's an outdoor dog. They just leave it outdoors 24/7. You know, it's one of those dogs that have been abandoned in the yard, you know. They think it's a guard dog, but it just barks. But, you know, they don't play with it. They don't entertain it. It just runs around in their backyard. So it's kind of cruel and inhumane, I think. Or canine. So attacking people doesn't work. We know this. If we want to get our way, attacking doesn't work. If we want to get a persuade and get people to think the way we think, shoving something down somebody's throat and making them do it, forcing them isn't going to work. So we have to be open-minded. We do. We have to lead the water to drink. Yeah, Jeff, that's Dad. I know. The secret is to get people to believe the way that you believe, to think the way that you think, by letting them think and believe that it was their own volition that they came down that road, right? It's called, what I call it, and I don't know what they say in here because I haven't read this since the 1990s, but for me, it's like planting a seed. If you want something done, right? So how to get people to cooperate with you? If you want something done, you got to plant the seed. You also got to lead by example. And so those are the two fronts I take. If I want my wife to do something, now look, you know, I'm not going to tell you that. It may take years for a seed to take hold and bear fruit, right? But you keep planting those seeds. Jeremy Sims asks, can I see that girl behind you? Yeah, if you want. It's just a barbecue grill. Well, not really. My chair is in the way. Sorry. It's just a pit master. Or a Memphis pit or pit boss. It's a pit boss. It's one of the ones that has like the smoker in it, the gas, and the charcoal on it. Nothing fancy. I have a cousin is 3. Nice. Cousins are good to have at 3 years of age. But if we plant a seed to get cooperation, and then we tend to that seed, we nurture that seed, then it's going to bear fruit for us. Then we can cooperation. If you need it today, you use the heavy arm. Remember I talked about OSHA. So there's a couple things that we did in the OSHA world. One, if you really screwed up, OSHA came in and fined you, kicked your shit, shut you down, whatever it is. Or what we did as consultants and at the college and as a large community here to try to make worker safety make better for worker safety. Remember I talked about how we were in the upper 50s in the deaths in our state and brought them down in the low 20s. You plant those seeds and you nurture them. And then you have to lead by example. My cousin says she's 3 years old. Oh, very nice. Thank you all for the thumbs up, by the way. If you haven't done that, hit that screen, double tap it. Morning, sir, in Kentucky. We love the state of Kentucky. How are you? Charlie, Shane, is out in the great state of Kentucky. We like Kentucky. Been there several times. Don't want to live there. It's too cold, but it's a beautiful country. All right, Garina, ask a question. Last company I worked for, I called OSHA on them. Nice, you should. If you feel like there's a valid reason, it never hurts. Or the EPA, if they're environmental issues, right? It's okay to do that. So part of our strategy in bringing down the death count, I'm going to give you the example. I don't know where this book goes, but I'm going to give you my own example. Is when we had 60 people in the state of Arkansas dying every year in accidents. Yes, OSHA came in and did their hey, I'm the law, here's what's going to happen thing. But we, as a group, as consultants, as part of the Department of Labor, part of OSHA, part of the college, part of the community, part of the workforce, all got together and said, well, what can we do to do our part? And that was planting seeds and role modeling the good behaviors. Shut the company down. What was their violation, or what was the issue, Jeff? All right. Karina, you may ask your question if you wish, young lady. Doing a lot of illegal things, worker safety issues. So, and you guys all got to think and figure out what works for you guys to get people to cooperate with you. And let me know if you guys got a way that you do things to help people, to help get your way, to get people onto your side, to get them on your way of thinking, versus it's the highway or my way or the highway philosophy. What non-heavy hammered way do you have out there to get people to cooperate with you? That's what we're talking about today. And we turn that around and do that on social media. This is what this is. I'm trying to get you guys to cooperate with me by one, coming to the channel, subscribing to the channel, liking my stuff, watching my other stuff, and making comments. Where's the first letter? First letter of what? I know you're a very little young person. I don't know what you mean by where's the first letter. I don't know where your first letter is. Maybe it's in your little music box in your room. They were getting products from Mexico, and we would rebag them, items, and put them. Yeah, that's actually a consumer affairs agency, and that's a lot of companies that do that bullshit. They do a lot of that, and over the I don't know if that was an OSHA violation, but I could definitely see that as a consumer issue. There's an agency for consumer aid agency on that. The other great thing about something like that, Jeff, would be to document it, photograph it, and send it to the news outlets. And in today's social media, you could really blow people up by saying, look at this fake company. They're ripping us off. They're buying it from China or Mexico, taking the label off, repackaging it, jacking the price up. So, and if that's cool. And if if OSHA came in, they must have had other violations, safety and health violations, because OSHA wouldn't be able to shut them down for being a shitty business company. You know, shady business practices, OSHA doesn't have anything to do. Law enforcement has something to do with that, but they must have had it. But if they did that, I promise you, they had lots and lots of other stuff. You don't say no bad word. Well, you know, I know that you're a young person, but I'm going to tell you, my advice, if bad words offend you, that maybe coming into an adult channel when you're a young person is not the best thing. On here, we talk openly and honestly adult content. We don't say bad things, but I won't be restricted in my form of speech. So if this is not for you, Karina, I understand, and you're a young person, so maybe looking at one of the kids' channels would be better for you. There's a lot of really good kids' channels out there on YouTube, a lot of cartoon channels. I would check those out. Lots of violations. Honduras, that is my country. Honduras, I've been there. And it seems like a fine country, you know, fine third world country, typical. So, let me see what's going on here. Let's look at some examples that they tell us. So some dude named Schultz in Philadelphia, sales manager in the automobile showroom and a student of one of my courses, suddenly found himself confronted with the necessity of injecting enthusiasm to discourage and disorganize a group of automobile salespeople. So apparently we had a sales manager who found quickly that he needed to figure out how to interject enthusiasm and discourage and disorganize a group of automobile people, salespeople. So he needed to get his people enthusiastic. He needed to get them organized. He needed to get them motivated. Time to drive. All right, be safe. Be safe. Be safe. Tell your sister, all the single men on the internet said hello. I'm not single. So part of the plan was, how do you get your team organized? All right, buddy, we appreciate you. So how do you get people organized? How do you get them to follow? How do you get them on the same page? How do you get their cooperation? One, you got to know what your goal is. So let's take this example. If you're if you're a manager for a car lot, what is your primary goal? What do you think your goal as a car lot manager is? It's not to move the cars around, it's to sell the cars, right? So you hire a team and you have a philosophy about how to best sell the most cars. You may have procedures about how you have to do certain things, right? But how are you going to motivate these people? How are you going to lead them? How are you going to encourage them? How are you going to get them to be excited about selling cars, right? That's what we're asking. So what he did was, calling a sales meeting, he urged his people to tell him exactly what they expected from him as the leader. So I'm the man, and I've done this. I've been a team leader, a subject matter expert. Dennis is in the house. Good morning, Mr. PAC and all. Good to see you, Dennis. Good morning, buddy. So I've been the team leader, subject matter expert, and I've done that. When I've met with big executives at companies, I've said, okay, what is it that you want me to be? Dennis says, just up to Red Bull. Nice. Did you like Red Bull's channel? Aussie Chick is back in the house. Hope you're doing well. We are. Good morning to you. It's Friday morning, 1:15 a.m. It is Thursday morning here, 10:17 a.m. Aussie, good to see you. Thank you for coming in and liking, subscribing, and all that stuff. So I think the most humblest thing you can do as a leader is say, well, what do you expect out of me as your leader? And my brother, who's in sales, does this. He's a sales leader. And him and I talk a lot about this. And he tells me when he has team meetings, and he says exactly just that. So what is it that you expect out of me? What is it that I can do to help you be successful? What can I do on social media to help you guys be successful and to keep coming back to my channel? So I have a twofold. My goal is to get you to like me, subscribe to me, follow my videos, give me a thumbs up. You know, maybe if you're really rich like Elon Musk, give me $1. You know, that's kind of my goals, right? But how can I do that? How can I help you be more in tuned into my social media? How can you do that for yourself? That's the question we have to ask. What does the audience want out of us? I think it's a great question. If you're selling cars, what do your salesmen want out of their team leader? The replies came quick and fast. Where did it go? Loyalty, honestly, innovation, optimism, teamwork, 8 hours a day of enthusiastic work. The meaning in it with new courage, new inspiration. One salesperson volunteered to work for 14 hours a day. And Mr. Sales reported to me that the increase of sales was phenomenal. Because what you're doing is you're letting people drive. Thank you for that, Aussie. You know, Dennis, did you check Aussie out? Her channel out, everybody? So When people tell you what they expect out of you or out of this business, out of a platform, then you need to try to deliver that. You got to support that effort. And I personally try to do that in social media by helping people, one, grow their channel by shouting you out, which we don't get a lot in return. I've noticed on other channels, people don't shout us out much, but I'm very happy to do that for everybody. We also do a lot of behind the scenes. Everybody knows my email address. You know that we have a Facebook group. Everybody can follow those. We can communicate. We can message back and forth. I've done numerous things for people behind the scenes. But what people really want is to feel like they're part of the group. They want to know that their hard work, their effort is appreciated. That's what we want in life in general. We want our wives to appreciate us. Hell, I want my dog to appreciate me, which I think she does because I give her turkey every morning. We want our audience to appreciate us. We want our sponsors, if we could ever get any, to appreciate us. All of those good things. We want dentists to appreciate us, even though we don't have any arm candy. When all of this happens, you get better results. Things grow up. Now, I want to say that your sales manager has to step up to the plate and be that leader, and I try to do that. As a social media person, I try to be there. I try to put out content, whether it sucks or not. I can't help too much. But if somebody tells me it sucks, I try to make those changes. I can work with my shitty content to try to make it better. Dennis says, yes, you said up to her. Thank you for doing that, Dennis. Appreciate that, Dennis, my friend. Thank you all for being members. Dennis is one of the oldest living members on our YouTube channel, so thank him for that. So basically, you're basically just trying to make an agreement with each other. I'm trying to make an agreement with you that I'll do live streams. I'll put videos out there. My wife will do live streams. She'll make videos. We will try to entertain you, educate you, motivate you as much as we can. And in turn, all I ask is for you people to share the word of my channel, to, when you're at other YouTube channels, shout out my channel, to come to my videos, late or not, watch them, like them, subscribe, make comments. Comments are a very important thing in the social media world. The more comments you get on any video, the better the algorithm is going to be pushing those out. And we will do the same. And you can do the same, Aussie, with your channel, because I know you're trying to grow your channel. So you can take these same principles and apply them to your channel. Now, I will say you got a gigantic benefit because you're a girl. It never hurts. I told, I think it was Cooking with Desi, who I haven't seen in a little while. She has a great young channel where she cooks a lot of videos. She makes cooking videos. And she does really good videos. And I told her, hey, if you want your channel to grow, she's a pretty girl. You're not a bad looking lady. You need to get on front of the camera. You'd be good on front of the camera. And that helps. If you got a pleasant looking, here's a secret. You guys may not know this. Why I wear a beautiful hat and a beautiful shirt and really cool glasses is so that this distracts you from the face. So you're not looking at my face, you're looking at my cool shirt, right? My hat. Wesley's, hello. Good to see you, dear. Are you my friend from Germany, young man? How are you? So, ways you can do that. What's the bargain? How are you going to get people to cooperate with you? No one likes to feel that he or she is being sold something or being told to do a thing. None of us like to be bossed around. I mean, Toolkitted says something about Ray guitards. I don't know what that means, but okay. Maybe that's from where you're from. What's up, man? Good to see you. Ozzy says, thanks, D. I subscribe. Dennis, I subscribe back to you. Dennis is a good friend. Good friend. So none of us want to be told what to do. I'm really bad about this. I got to admit. Best wishes from Italy. Hanging out in Italy. We love Italy. We've never been there, but we like the food there. We'd like to go there. But I have a gigantic problem. I don't like being told what to do. I gotta admit it. I am one of these people that I worked a job that so that I wouldn't have to be told what to. I do not do well being told what to do. From Italy, Aussie says yes. We're doing great, man. We're doing pretty good. Busy as always, as you can see. Just trying to grow the channel, do some education, learn some things myself, and share it with the world. You're in your father's land, Italy. Yes. Thanks, but I don't do anything on it yet. Dennis doesn't do anything active on his channel. He just looks good. So he's one of the best supporters out there. We much prefer to feel like we are buying of our own accord and acting of our own ideas. We love to think we thought of it. Humans want to go, man, no, I thought of that. I really wanted, to buy that car that I didn't need. We like to be consulted about our wishes, wants, and thoughts. And I agree. And if we look, and let's not just pass that over. We all like to be consulted about our wishes, our wants, and our thoughts. And I try to do that here. You guys should do it too. What do you guys want? What are your wishes from a social media standpoint? What do you wish for your own channel, not just mine, but what do you wish for your own social media platforms? I'm not going to tell you what to do in your social media, but if you ask, I'll be happy to share my thoughts. But one thing is, before you hit us in the head, I know this is really silly, but before you hit us in the head with a baseball bat, we really like to be consulted about it. We'd rather say, wait a minute. So you're saying, I was watching The Godfather Part 1 last night, and I'm going to make you a deal that he can't refuse, So you either take the $10,000 check or you're, going to burn your house down, and, which would you prefer? Well, so what do we do to get people to cooperate with us? What do you do with your children and your wives? I wish that all people could come together, smoke a big fat joint, and don't make war. Yeah, but here's the interesting thing. Now, and I don't necessarily think you're equating the two. But a lot of people say, man, everybody should just smoke a joint, get high, and not create war, right? Now, there's a difference between saying, I think everybody ought to get high, and then we come over here and say, and I think everybody shouldn't commit war, because one doesn't have anything to do with the other. Because people have been killing each other way before they realized what dope was in the modern sense. People will kill you over dope, so they create war over drugs. So they don't go hand in hand, but I get what you mean. I do think people need to take a chill in the world, but it's never going to happen because there's too many people. Instead of trying to get you to cooperate or to convince them how to come to your side, they're more than willing to drop the hammer. They're going to force you to cooperate. That's what war is all about. We're going to force you to cooperate. And sometimes you have to do that. You have to fire a person. If you're doing social media, sometimes you have to kick somebody off your channel. You have to say, you're not worth it. Sometimes you have to stand up to a bad employee and say, we've tried. Tony, if you're still here, you and I know a young man that you've had issues with. And I told Ken the other day, I said, because he brought up something that happened, and I'm like, I've given up. There's nothing more I can do. He's uneducatable. So there are times, and I don't like the fact that we're that way, but that's the way humans are. Humans are so stubborn and so greedy, but this is a good thing. Without humans having such of a large ego, and we all do, I don't care what you say, oh, I'm just here for friends. We all have an ego. We all think we're better than somebody else. That's how society developed. If we had a society where everybody was chill and had no ambition and they just wanted to sit around and not make war, right? Nothing would get done. civilizations wouldn't form, technology wouldn't develop, ideologies wouldn't flourish, all of that. I've never seen one guy that was aggressive on a joint. I have. Boy, I have. I think, yeah, I have. Other drugs do the things, yes. I've actually seen potheads who are aggressive. Now, they're stupidly aggressive, meaning they're slow in their reaction because marijuana slows you down, you know. And I'm not, let me get this out there. I don't care what any drugs, what people do in their drug world. I don't care. As long as you're not hurting somebody else. I do think marijuana has good medical applications. Do I think sitting in your basement smoking dope every day is a good thing for you? No, I think it rots your brain. Literally, I think it kills your brain. And I think there's more than enough scientific evidence to prove this. Our good friend Galactic Gaming, right? Rob, for instance, just as an example. You know, he was a heavy smoker of marijuana, dope, whatever, pot. Well, he decided to get off of it, and he told me in a few weeks, his brain started to clear. He started being happier, thinking more, being more active. And now he's doing a lot more stuff there in Europe than he ever did before because he's got a clear head and a clear mind. So I think it has a great medical benefit, but I also think, because I got friends that have a medical condition, they have a medical marijuana card, and it'd be kind of like, I don't know, I think it's funny because they tout their medical card. Oh my God, I got a medical card, right? But all they do all day long is vape marijuana, you know, or THC. Well, this is what happened, but you can't do anything. So what quality of life are you having if you're a low functioning human? That's my point. So I think there's a happy balance between being a stoner, like, I don't know if you know that word, but here in America we call them stoners, versus somebody who medicates medically. Medicates medically? That doesn't make sense. All right. Let's see what this is. In the case of some guy named Eugene Wesson, he lost countless thousands of dollars in commission before he learned this truth. Mr. Wesson sold sketches for a studio that created designs for stylish textile manufacturing. All right, so he must have designed textiles. Mr. Wesson had called on one of the leading stylists in New York once a week, every week for 3 years. He never refused to see me, Mr. Wesson, said Mr. Wesson, but he never bought anything. He always looked over my sketches very carefully and then said, no, Wesson, I guess we don't get together today. If you don't use every day, you can keep a clear mind. If you use it, sometimes you become another side of view. Yeah, I don't disagree. So Wesson was told, once again, we're not going to do business today. After 150 failures, Wesson realized he must be in a mental rut. So he resolved to devote one of his evenings a week to the study of influencing human behavior. I love human behavior. To help him develop new ideals and generate enthusiasm. So he sat down and realized, look, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not growing my YouTube channel. I'm not growing my TikTok account. I'm not growing. I'm not doing is what you guys might be thinking or I'm thinking. So I got to revamp. And that's partly what we're doing here. I mean, I'm rereading all of these books I learned in the 90s. One, because I'm going to reread them. And two, because I'm going to sit here and enjoy your company while I reread them. And that's a way to help me develop and grow the channel. So he decided on his new approach. Remember, he's selling something, he can't sell it. With a half a dozen unfinished artist sketches under his arm, he rushed over to the buyer's office. I want you to do me a little favor, if you will, he said. Here are some uncompleted sketches. I see where he's going with this one. Won't you please tell me how we could finish them up in such a way that you could use them? That's brilliant. So what he did is said, now look, What is it that I can do for you? Instead of, and here's the number one thing in sales, and hopefully this translates to social media, or that's what my hope is. The number one thing to do in sales, any type of sales, is not come to me and say, hey, I want you to buy my glasses. Well, but why would I buy your glasses? I have glasses. What you do to me is come to me and say, what is it that you need? You want to sell me what I need and what I will buy, not what you want to sell. You know, that's the key. You got to think about this going into this. What is it that the consumer wants? What is it the audience wants? That's what we got to prepare for them. We don't want to shove something else down their throat. Nobody wants to see me dancing naked in the grass. I promise you. So we're not going to have videos like that. I use it once a month to chill and become the other side of mine. Besides, it's legal now in Germany. Yeah, we have a lot of states where it's illegal here too. We still have medical states here, and we still have some states like Texas where it's not. Hello, Karina is back in the house. It's best. I know. Thank you. So sell your audience what it is that they need and want, not what you have to sell. If you want to be successful. I mean, if you want to be pig-headed and you got hats to sell and you got to do it, well, then you got to do it. But your odds of success goes way down. I mean, if Dennis, my good friend Dennis in here, who is a brilliant young man, if I wanted to make money from Dennis, I would sell Dennis AC, is what I would do. All I would have to do is sell Dennis AC, and I would say, Dennis, I have some AC for sale. And he'd be like, oh, really? What type of AC do you have? You know, let's talk. But if I say, hey, you know, I have, you know, a bunch of wiener dogs to sell, he's going to go, yeah, well, I'm happy for you. I want to have nothing to sell. I make music, and you can listen to it. If you like it, then you can buy it. Well, there you go. But are you making, and that's one of the things I'll say with artists, if you want to be successful or not. And I know this goes against the code of artists. Artists get so wrapped up in, hey, I'm going to create my art, and I'm going to shove my art down your throat. That's fine. But do you want to be successful? If you want to make money, then if I was artist, I'm not, I have no skills at all. I'm going to sell you what you want. Oh, you would like me to draw you a picture of a mountain and an ocean? Gotcha. I'll make you a picture of a mountain and an ocean. Oh, what are wiener dogs? Dachshunds. You know, the dogs that are long and skinny? We have dachshunds at our house. So they're from Germany originally. They're long, got short legs. They look like hot dogs. Pat saying hello to Yossi. Good to see you. What happened? I don't know what happened. I grew up. Ozzy says, hello, Pat. Good to see you. So very cute. They're wonderful dogs. We had two of them. My best one passed away. Broke my heart. Still screws with my head. We still have one more left. Man, I love wiener dogs. I wish I could afford another one. They're about $3,000 though. I mean, here where we live, they're very expensive. Patrick says, hello, Mean, good to see you. Yes, Mean is in the house. Dachshunds, yes. Wiener dogs. And we have a lot of videos on our channel, a lot of short videos with our dogs. And we even got a playlist of our wiener dogs. We've taken them to the Philippines. They've traveled more than a lot of humans. Our dogs have traveled all over the United States. They've traveled to the Philippines and back. Our dogs are world travelers. Yes, Patrick, thank you for being here. Good morning, sir. All right, so we're gonna try to produce a product that people want to be successful. If we make something and try to sell it, if I put content out here, and it's one thing I tell channels, because we are talking about social media in a sense. When I tell people, for instance, our friend Keith that is joined us lately has a train channel. Now, he has to understand that doing a genre like choo-choo trains is a small one. Red Bull is in the house. Yes, they are. Thank Red Bull for being here, Patrick. Thank you. You know Michael Jackson? Well, Michael Jackson's dead, so no, I don't know him. I know of Michael Jackson, yes. He was an American artist. Jeff was here from Little Rock a minute ago, but he had to go make a trip, and he was telling me it was hot down where he was. I can feel the heat coming in. I can feel the heat coming in. Woo! So, so do you want to be successful or do you want to be stubborn? And a lot of us just want to be right. And here's the thing: our egos get in the way of us being successful a lot of times because we get so entrenched about what we think that we don't open our minds to what other people really want. Not everybody wants to see trains. Not everybody wants to see planes. Those are small groups. Not everybody wants to learn about extension cords, right? You see what I mean? Hello, Patrick from Dennis. Dennis, the AC Slayer. That's right. Patrick, the AC Slayer, is in the house. So he went up and said, hey, buyer, I got a product. You're not buying it. What can I do to make you buy my product? How can we work together? How we can collab? How can we work to get on the same page? And that's what we're doing on social media. After that, the buyer ordered scores of other sketches from Weston, all drawn according to the buyer's ideals, specifications, manufacturer designs, whatever it may be. I realized why I had failed for years to sell him. Said Mr. Weston, I urged him to buy what I ought to have, what I thought he should buy. I told him, no, this is what you need. Then I changed my approach completely and urged him to give me his best ideals to let me service him. This made him feel that he was creating designs and that I didn't have to sell them. He brought it. Once you do that, do you want to play a game? Sure, I play games all the time. Saw, damn fly. Remember, letting the other person feel that the ideal is his or hers, not only works in business, politics, but I'm going to say it works in social media and families. Now that the sun is coming out, the flies are starting to come out. You know, and you can apply this to your family model, right? So there's a lot of things that I think my wife and I should do. Now, she has her own thoughts, and a lot of times she goes along with things, but I know, like for instance, we're going to go on a cruise in October, I think. So we're going on a cruise in October. I know she likes to visit brand new countries. So when I booked this cruise, I booked countries we had not been to yet. That makes her happy, makes me happy. We've compromised and now we're doing. Damn it, flies, crazy. Hello to everybody. We'll be in the background listening at work. Chasing Tail Outdoor. We haven't seen you in a while, my friend. How have you been? Are you married yet? You know, I thought I'd just ask. Chasing Tail. Everybody say hello to Chasing Tail. They got a great channel, been around forever and ever. Thank you for doing that. Yes, we love you, man. Good to see you, Chasing Tail. I hope you're having a blast up there. It's getting hot here. I got one fly that has decided it owns my patio. It's going to die. So thinking about how we serve the needs of our audience. What can we do to service you? That's what our channels need to be about. 6, 7, Patrick, hello, Chasing Tail. Good to see you, Patrick says. Yes, Patrick. Let's see. So when you're talking about the family unit, you get together, you say, you know, what would we all like to do? What is our end goal? What is it that you need out of this trip, vacation? What is it do you need out of my channel to service you? We have to think about that as content creators. What do our audience want from us? Not what we want to give them. And that's the mistake I've made, and everybody else makes as content creator. We make content and we're trying to shove it down people's throat. And sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. But if we could figure out what our core audience wants, because here's my big deal. One, you got to build your core audience. You got to get a foundation going on. Once you build that brick foundation and give them what they want, then you can continue to build, then you can expand because you can introduce new concepts into your core foundation. I personally didn't do that correctly. I'll admit, I mean, doing YouTube, I screwed a lot of things up in the first few years. I absolutely know that I did. You see the flies on my head? Yeah, that's because I'm full of shit. You know, when your fly lands on your head, you know that you're full of shit. That's why they're there. Some of the same philosophy was used in an X-ray manufacturer to sell his equipment to one of the largest hospitals in Brooklyn, New York. The hospital was building an additional and preparing to equip it with the finest X-ray department in America. Dr. L, who was in charge of the X-ray department, was overwhelmed with the sales representatives coming out of the woodwork saying, you need to buy this. You need to buy my product. Each caroling the praises of his own company equipment versus what a smart person does and say, Dr. L, I see that you're building a brand new X-ray wing. What is it do you need for your vision? I want to help you accomplish your vision. That's what I'm going to do. My brother does this in sales. He goes and he sells large things similar to this. He'll go into a facility and say, great to meet you. I see that you're building a brand new hospital wing. How can our company help you? We're here to help you. What is it that we can do for you? You know, you like the fly in the head thing? 1, 2, 3, 4. Same philosophy, right? Don't go in and say, here's what you need, but listen to people and say, if you want to get them to cooperate with you, you got to listen to people. All right, let's keep moving on. Let's see, manufacturing, skillful. Ralph Waldo Emerson, in his essay, Self-Reliance, stated, in every work of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. They come back to us with certain alienated imagination. All right. Colonel Edward House had great influence in national and international affairs during Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson was an isolationist president. I actually liked him. Yeah, while Wilson held I think he was only a one-term president. Wilson leaned upon Colonel House for a secret counsel and advised more than he did relied on his advice more than he did his own other cabinet. So you had your own private person, is what Woodrow Wilson had. What method did Colonel use to influence the president? Well, let's find out. I know how to influence Dennis, AC. What can I do to influence, influence you? How can I influence you? I know how to influence Dennis, but the rest of you kind people, how do I influence you? Fortunately, we know from House himself revealed it to the author D. Howden Smith, and Smith quoted House in an article in the Saturday Evening Post. One thing here, I'm going to say something else in a second. After I got to know the president, House said, I learned the best way to convert him to an ideal was to plant it in his mind casually. You're dropping seeds. It's called dropping hints or dropping seeds. Casually. But so as to interest him, as to get him thinking about it on his own account. The first time this worked was by accident. I had been visiting him at the White House and urged a policy on him which he appeared to disapprove of the policy. But several days later, at the dinner table, I was amazed to hear him to trot out my suggestion on his own. So you're planting seeds, and here's the secret. If you're a seed planter, don't take credit when it starts to grow. That's the wrong way to nurture something. You drop a seed, it starts to grow. Maybe you plant, maybe you want a new car, but money's tight, and so you kind of plant the seed about, oh man, I need to take my car to maybe you're married, right? And you guys share your expenses, and you want to get a new car, and your wife is opposed to it, but so you're driving along one day and you say, man, I think I'm gonna have to take the truck to the shop. All right, a little bit of a seed. Plant another seed. Yeah, well, it looks like I'm gonna have to spend X amount of dollars, blah blah blah. Or you don't drive the truck as much because like, well, I don't think it's safe or it's reliable. You just plant little seeds. You let them nurture and develop on their own. And then when they come up and say, well, have you given any thought to buying another truck? Well, I don't know. I mean, what do you think? They're really expensive. I don't know if we can afford it. You give that seed fuel by saying to your wife, well, I don't know if we can afford it. That's going to trigger her brain to go, well, let me do some research and see. Let me look at the money and how much they are. It gets her more engaged in the growth of that idea, whether she realizes it or not. So now she's plugging away and thinking about it, going, okay, well, maybe, maybe not, maybe this, maybe that. You just let it lay. And then eventually she will come to the side and say, maybe we need to get rid of your truck and get you a different one. I'm like, oh, well, there you go. Problem solved. Easy to do. It just takes time, energy, and effort. But you can do that on your YouTube channels, your TikTok too, I believe. You can persuade people to come back and stick around and let them think it's their ideal to shout you out. I want people that come here to go, hey man, I'd like to go to other channels and tell other channels about, the PAC channel. That's what I hope. Because the best advertising you can do is word of mouth. And so if I can get Pat and Dennis and everybody else, Jeff and all these other followers we have, Galactic Game, everybody else, to say, you might like, Big John, everybody, hey, you guys might like the Walrus, Tony's doing music today. You guys might like to go and hang out at David's channel when he does live streams. You can talk about anything and have open discussion. And he makes good videos where, he touches on tough subjects, but he tries to do it with humor a little bit. And he doesn't have a problem ruffling feathers of people, but also embracing everybody. So I need to get you guys to do that. I'm planting the seed right now in your brains to be my biggest advocate. That's what I'm asking of the internet, is to be my own biggest advocate. That's what I want from you. And if you could do it, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Something, an appeal that everybody likes. So we're looking for something that everybody likes. Well, we know everybody likes a pretty new shiny car, right? I mean, even if you're not a car person, and I learned this years ago, even if you don't drive, people that don't even drive, when they see a really good looking car, they even stop and go, wow, that's good looking. That's a nice car, yeah. I don't know how to drive. I don't have a license, but that's a nice car. I was reared on the edge of Jesse James country out in the Missouri lands, the Show Me State, the good old Missouri Show Me State. I visited the James farm in Kearney, Missouri, where the son of Jesse James was living then. Something that appeals to everybody. His wife told me stories of how Jesse robbed trains and held up the banks and then gave the money to the neighboring farmers to pay off their mortgages. I don't need a car. All right, we'll see. You like the way women look? See, women, everybody likes good-looking people. So even if you're, I know women who are only liking men who see another woman and go, wow, that's a really pretty lady. And then immediately they turn on hating them because of jealousy, but they do acknowledge it. Jesse James probably regarded himself as an idealist at heart. If you don't know who Jesse James was in America, he's an American outlaw, robbed trains and killed people. He's a young man. So there's a big, huge lore around Jesse James. A lot of it's probably BS, made up, advertising. But he was an outlaw in the Old West days. So Jesse James probably regarded himself as an idealist at heart. Just as Dutch Schultz, Two Gun Crowley, Al Capone, and many other organized crime members, Godfathers did generations later. So it is amazing how some of the biggest criminals can think they're serving a higher good. If you don't know what the terms higher good is, I highly recommend you go and read some work by Kant. He's a German philosopher. He has some great things about higher good. The fact that all people you made have a higher regard for themselves, like to be fine and unselfish in their own estimation. So you got all these bad people doing bad things, but they think they're good, they're serving a bigger good. I like honest people, doesn't matter if they're man or woman. True. Chasing Tail says true. Yes, yes. Honest people are the best. We all say we like honest people, and I'll drive down on this ditch a tiny bit. We all say that we like honesty and we like honest people. But do we really? Or do we want people just to kind of go along and agree with us? We don't want do we really want the honest truth? We don't want it blunt. One thing I've learned, because I do persuasive argument a lot in my life, in my career as a teacher, and in my job as a consultant. The brutal truth, people don't like because it's an attack. So you got to be careful. We all say we want the truth, but do we really? Because when somebody gives you the truth, it usually stings. And we don't win an argument. We don't persuade somebody to come to our side. We don't get them to join our team by aggravating them. So we all say we want the truth, but do we really? We do want the truth. No, let me say this, is that we want people to be honest and truthful, just not towards us. We don't want anybody to be personally true to us. We just expect everybody else to be true about themselves and what they're doing, but not us. We don't want you to come to us and say, PAC, I'm going to tell you what the truth is about you. You happen to be fat, old, ugly, and not worth my time. We don't want that. But we got somebody out there saying, I like to do this, I like to do that, and, I really enjoy fishing and hunting, and fishing's better than hunting because blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we like people to be honest. I like honest people, and we Germans are very direct. We say the truth like it is or not. I agree. I think Americans are very direct. Filipinos are not. Americans are very direct, I think. I think we get in trouble sometimes now, modern American, about being direct. Nobody But I like to be direct, but I am smart enough to know there's a difference between what do I want to accomplish? I understand that it's important for me to stop and go, what am I trying to accomplish? So that will temper, change, manipulate how I am direct. If I'm trying to befriend the person, build a long-term relationship with them, I'm going to be direct, but I'm not going to be mean, cruel. I'm going to be thoughtful in what I say and how I say it. If I'm trying to piss you off, then I'm going to take a different approach. If I'm trying to get under your skin and solve a problem right now, like maybe you're doing something bad at Walmart and it's hurting some old lady at Walmart, which I had an experience with recently, maybe there's a different story. So it's very important in being direct with people that you know your end goal. If we don't have an end goal in mind, then we're just pissing in the wind. And this is important with everything, sales, business, social media. What's your end goal? I have an end goal in social media. I have more than one. I know what my deliverables are going to be. I know what they are. I know when I've achieved success. Because we don't get anywhere by tearing people down. That's one thing I've learned. I am a very direct person, but we don't get anywhere by being a dickhead. We don't get anywhere by ripping people a new one. In private, I say what I mean in a good way. I know for me that I don't look for sure. Good. I think that's great. I think if your end goal is to influence a behavior and not add stress, you can do it. You can do it. We are all idealists at heart. We like to think of motivations that sounds good. So in order to change people to appeal to our nobler motivations, is to that idealistic work of business. Let's see. Let's take the case of Farrell, of the Farrell Mitchell Company, Pennsylvania, had a disgruntled tenant who threatened to move. All right. The tenant lease would still have 4 months to run. Nonetheless, he served notice that he was vacating immediately, regardless of the lease. These people have lived in my house all winter, the most expensive part of the year, Mr. Farrell said, as he told the story to, turn page, to the class that he was attending. Because we're in class. And I knew it would be difficult to rent the apartment again before fall. If I could see all that rent income going over the hill, and believe me, I saw red. So he knew he was going to go into the red. He was going to lose money because this person wanted to vacate the property early, and the guy didn't care. And he knew that he couldn't re-rent it. Now, in modern day history, basically you just sue them, take them to court, and you get offset. The tenant, if you kick somebody out of your rental property today, or let me say this, if you got a 6-month lease on a rental property and you vacate it early, and the tenant, the landlord can say, okay, fine, you now owe me 3 months rent. If you don't pay it, he can sue you, take you to court, and win the 3 months rent. Now, the landlord in a modern America has the obligation of trying to re-rent the property. But if he doesn't re-rent it, then you owe them 3 months. But if he rents it in 2 months, then you owe him 1 month's rent. See what I mean? Ken's in the house, never late now. Always late? Nah, you're never late. Good to see you, Ken. Hello, Ken. I will restart and watch them start. Good morning, good morning, good morning to everybody. Everybody say hello to Ken. Well, so this landlord says, you know, in ordinary, I would have waddled on in there, waited in there to that tenant and advised him to read your lease again, by God. I would have pointed out to them that if he moved, the full balance of his rent would be paid in full, due at once. And that I would take steps to collect them, suing them, right? Thank you for saying hello to Ken. However, as a landlord, instead of flying off my handle and going apeshit crazy, I decided to try a different tactic. So I started out like this. Mr. Doe, tenant, I said, I have listened to your story, and I still don't believe you intend to move. Years in the renting business, landlord business, had taught me something about human nature. And I size you up in the first place as being a man of your word. See? You're putting them on a pedestal. Remember? We're building them up. Timmy the Tipper is looking good in the house. So instead of tearing them down, we're building them up to get what we want. Remember, the end goal is what we want. So I size you up as a man of honor, man of your word, a good man. I am not so sure that I'm willing to take a gamble. Now, here's my proposition. Lay your decision on the table for a few days and think it over. If you come back to me between now and the first of the month, when your rent is due, and tell me that you still intend to move, I give you my word, I will accept your final decision. I will give you the privilege of moving and admit to myself I've been wrong in my judgment. But I still believe you're a man of your word and will live up to your obligations, your contract. For after all, we are either men or monkeys. I don't like that part. But we are men or we're not men. We're men of our word or we're men not of our word. And choose usually lies with ourselves. The choice lies with ourselves. Everybody said hello to Timmy. Good to see you. So what basically the guy is saying, he's using the argument to go, you got a bad tenant. The tenant says, okay, look, I'm going to bug out. I don't give a shit if I pay you in the next 3 months. The landlord, instead of hitting the whole shit fan and going crazy, says, look, Mr. Doe, I saw your document that you want to leave. You want to vacate your lease? I find that I'm really good at sizing up people, and I see you as a man of your word, so I'm going to give you some time to rethink it. And if you go ahead and go with what you're going, then you're not the man I thought you were. So he built them up and said, hey, I think you're a good man. You're an honorable man. That's why I rented to you in the first place. And if you're going to prove me wrong by abandoning this lease, then that's on you. And that's the man that you really are. You're basically a big old piece of turd. Hello, Timmy. Hi, team. Yes. So there are different ways between, flying off the handle. You can build people up before you tear them down. You can question their credibility, their humanity. And I think that's good, but you can do it softly and gently. Versus coming and saying only cowards get out of their lease and not pay their bills. Only shitty human beings doing that. Instead, he spun that around and deposited. And that's one thing a lot of you people have seen and talked to me about on my channel. When I get trolls, and I love trolls, I spin them around into a positive. I don't bite. And I tell all of you guys on your social media platforms, do not buy into the troll world. Use it to your benefit. You can do it. I do it. Anybody can do it. Same concept. My dog is staring at the ground. There's a mole that lives over in the corner of the fence. It's similar. It's not there anymore, but my dog can still smell it. So my dog would lay there and stare at that ground, waiting for that damn mole to pop up. Well, when the new month came around, his gentleman came to see me and paid his rent in person. He and his wife had talked it over, he said, and decided to stay. They had concluded that the only honorable thing to do was live up to their agreement. That's a good thing. When John D. Rockefeller Jr. wished to stop newspaper photographers from snapping pictures of his children, he too appealed to the nobler motives. I know you guys are better than that. I know you guys have children. I know you're better than that, I would never, do harm to your children, as I know you would never do harm to my children. You know how it is, boys. You got children yourselves, some of you. And it's not good for youngsters to get too much publicity because people will kidnap them, hurt them, all of those bad things they do to children. So to get people to come to our side, we got to I really believe, that's why you got to break down the simplest things. You got to put them on a pedestal. You got to say, look, we're all on the same team. I respect what you think. I respect what everybody in the audience thinks. I like, and I work very hard to get you guys to engage in what we're talking about. I love having input from people. Let's see here. So do these methods really, really work? I think they do. My visit to each customer was like collecting a bill long past due, a bill that we knew was absolutely right, but I didn't say a word about that. I explained that I called to find out what the company had done or failed to do. So we're talking a little bit about, like, if you're into collection, why? If you're trying to collect a bill, instead of calling them and say, hey, I need the smart thing to do is to call them up and say, hey, Mr. Pat, I realize that the bill hasn't been paid. Is there something that we failed to do or failed to complete? And that's like, hey, we're showing that we're honorable. We expect you to be honorable and pay the bill. First of all, I see that your bill is past due, and if you got 10 days to pay it, or I'm going to cut your legs off. It doesn't work. Persuasive. Remember, think about your end goal. What is your end goal in this? To get the people to come to our side, to our channel, I want to know, it's the same thing on social media. I look at this as basically a phone call. I'm calling all of you guys up who watches this and say, look, I need you to come back to the channel. I need you to watch all of my videos. I need you to go to other people's channel and say, this channel is really cool. You guys should go check it out. What can I do to that? Versus threatening you to do that or tell you, oh, you said a bad word on my channel, so I'm blocking you. I don't block hardly anybody. I think there's been 3 people in my whole entire existence that have been blocked from my channel. I don't do that. I try to ask, what can I do better? When trolls come on, I love trolls because I use them as an educational tool for all of you guys to learn. Appeal to the nobler motives to get your way. Part 4, we're going to discuss ways to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. Right. If we want to change somebody's thought or their behavior, we can do this. A lot of this is so unbelievably simple, but let's get into it. Sorry. If we intend to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment in that person, we must begin with the attitude of respect for and acceptance of the person. His response depends on our attitude, right? If we come home to our wife and we're all pissy and say, where in the hell is dinner? Well, that's going to get us a negative response. Remember my big thing. Negative equals negative. Negative words equal negative. Positive equals positive. Positive terminology, negative terminology. You got to get those out of your vocabulary. I try really hard to spin things into a positive light. It's what I do with trolls. My friends don't understand enough English to come here and follow your ideas. Well, it's all right. I understand that. But they could come and say how handsome I look as a former German. You know, remember, I'm German blood. They could come and say, man, that guy is German. That, weird ass American definitely looks German. Right, Pat? But I appreciate the thought. But that's my goal in this realm of social media, is to grow, right? That's my goal. My goal is to make enough money so that I can buy my Filipino wife a house. That's my big goal. I love teaching. I like meeting everybody. We're going to have some meetups in October. It's exciting to have all of these great friends and to get to know people. But my big goal at the end, my top goal, is a house. Everything else that comes under that is just icing on the cake, so to speak. I love to hear people from other countries. I love to learn. So I enjoy people that come in and tell me things about their country. I do, or about their politics or their science philosophy. I love different conspiracies. I love it all, man. I'm telling you, you can't bore the crap out of me too much. Charles Schwab was passing through one of his steel mills one day at noon when he came across some of his employees smoking. Bad. Smoking and working in the steel industry, not a good thing. Immediately above their heads was a sign that said, no smoking. I might have that video or sign. Being an old OSHA guy, I actually have a lot of stupid pictures of things like that. You have different, see? I know. I'm telling you, my origins are your part of the world. Even though I'm 100% American. Did Schwab point at the sign and say, can't you read? Now, I do that a lot. I got a bad attitude. Now look, and I'm going to tell him myself because I am a little bit of a dickhead. I get it. I have a big sign out by my front door that says no soliciting, no ringing the doorbell, no any of this for anything. I got one out by the door. It's been there. So when a solicitor comes up to my door, whether they're selling something or just informing me, first thing I ask is, can you read? Or sometimes I say, did you go to school? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, oh, so you can read? Yeah. And I'm like, why can't you read that sign? That's right there, gigantic, So that's being a little bit of a dickhead. But when it comes to solicitors on your property, they drive us all crazy. I don't want them here. One, they upset my dog. Two, I got to get up and answer the door when I'm just watching TV having a good time. Well, my doorbell is, we have camera doorbells and cameras around the house, but people will not pay attention to those in America. If they're trying to sell you solar energy or telling you about this or telling you about that, They'll come bang on your door no matter what because they think they have a right to disturb you, which what they don't understand in the world of sales. Now, maybe they get 1 out of 1,000, and maybe that's their goal, but you're pissing people off right off the bat, right? I have a nice cold bottle of water, Keith. Hello, Keith is in the house. Keith, it's good to see you. Beat the heat wave today. Yes. Tony works for you. Tony says, I'm an idiot. Stop being mean to the listener. They're just trying to sell their property. I don't care what they're trying to sell. The difference is, Tony, and you're probably one of these people that had to go do this job because maybe they couldn't get a real job. But, Tony, what I'll tell you is no. When it comes to my house, my property, I dictate what happens on it, right? And you all get to do that. If you want to get the biggest balls you can and come to my front door and try to sell something when I got a big ass sign out, well, then you get to enjoy the fruit of my labor and say, can you read? Are you dumb as a rock? What is it about shit? You know? Pat says, I'm having a fresh cup of coffee. I'm having a little bit of juice. I'm fine to fish my morning juice. This is watermelon guava. All right. Enjoying the first one still. Thank you. All right. So we're talking about Charles Schwab saw a bunch of his steel workers smoking under non-smoking sign. I really do have some motion pictures like this. He didn't say, can't you read? Oh no, not Schwab. He walked over to them and handed each of them a cigar and said, I appreciate it, boys, if you will smoke these outside the building or outside the property. They knew that he knew that they had broken the rule by smoking. But they admired him because he said nothing about it and gave them a present and made them feel important. Could keep from loving a man like that. So he got what he wanted. He empowered them. He puffed them up. He built them up and said, boys, I know how hard it is here in the steel mill industry. And he's thinking really is, I can't have you smoking here because you're going to kill us and blow the plant up. But here's some cigars, and I want you to take and smoke them on your break off of the property. They got the message without him being a dick and without them having hurt feelings. Instead, they went back to, they never smoked in front of that sign again. I bet you $1,000. And I bet you $1,000 anytime they said anybody do it, they stopped him doing it. Said, now look, Mr. Schwab, he's a great man. This is one of the rules that we got to follow. And he's a great man and treats us great. So we're going to follow his rules. That's what you do. It's called getting buy-in. From behavior safety standpoint, it's about getting people to buy into what you want. You can't bash them over the head like we do solicitors, because solicitors suck. We build them up. We give them a positive motivation about how to follow the rules and the regulations. That's what we do in behavior-based. We understand the behavior, and then we find a way through it versus using a sledgehammer. Let me see. Dave, I agree with you on the people who cannot read the signs as well. Thank you. See, we're all right. Only people that want to be solicitors are the ones that are in favor of solicitors. It's kind of like the only ones that are lawyers and need lawyers, the only ones that like lawyers. The rest of us hate lawyers, right? So, no. I have a German beer. It is 6 p.m. for me. I have some German beer in the refrigerator, but it is 11:17 a.m. for me, and there will be no beer for me. I'm going to have Gatorade later and a sandwich. Pat agrees, also agreed. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate that. A guy named John Wanamaker used the same techniques. Wanamaker used to make a tour of his great store in Philadelphia every day. So he used to walk around his store. Once he saw a customer waiting at a counter. No one was paying the slightest attention to her, the salespeople. Where are the salespeople? So you got a customer sitting there waiting to be helped, waiting to spend money. This is what blows me away in the modern day world. I am willing to give you money, and you don't want to take the effing money. I got money. I want to buy product A. I need the, it's like, oh my God. You really need to make me, I got to make you a damn sandwich at Subway? Oh my God. It's like Walmart, Walmart employees. I'm giving Walmart money. Yes, they're giving you money back because they're earning a paycheck, but you act like I'm killing you to get you to check out my groceries. And 12:70 p.m. for me, see? Canelo, good to see you, man. So that's one of my pet peeves. People are willing to give you money and you don't show up. It's kind of like going to a car lot. Here, in my part of the country, we live in we're poor, but we live in an area where you don't want to buy a car because there are no deals to be made. There's no anything. There is so much freaking money here. People just walk on the lot and buy cars left and right. You don't want to buy a car in my region. If you go to a car lot in my area, nobody comes out and talks to you. They expect you to come in. Remember the day you go to a car lot and look at trucks and somebody will come out and say, hey, how can I help? It doesn't happen here. They could give a shit because they know if they stay in the air conditioned building in 30 minutes, somebody else is going to come around, walk in and give them and buy a car. One of the things that drive me crazy, customer service, my friends, customer service. You're my customers. How can I serve you better? Don't answer that. No, answer that. If I can serve you better as my subscribers, my followers, our group, I would love to know that. I really would. A lot of people don't have an answer, but I would. I'd be happy to do it. So no one is paying a poor lady attention. Of course, it's really bad when you don't pay attention to girls. Oh, they were in a huddle at the far end of the counter laughing and talking. Oh, I would have fired. Woo-wee. Man, well, one, I'd give him oh, man, that one. When you got a group of employees hanging out, having a little huddle, having a good time, and somebody's trying to give your business money, woo, somebody's going to have a come to Jesus meeting. But I've learned over the years to do it like this. When I was 30, I would have ripped them all a new asshole. And, but now I'm a nice guy. So I would do it similar to what they're going to tell you to do here. Automaker didn't say a word. He quietly slipped behind the counter. He waited on the woman himself and then handed the purchase to the salespeople to be wrapped as he went on his way. Absolutely. So, and I've kind of done this. I've had situations in my life where the workers really weren't doing it as I asked when I needed them, whatever, they weren't taking it as serious as it needed to be. So the psychology there is to step up to the plate and just step in and do it. And then you get it going. First thing is, if they're decent people, they're going to go, oh shit, the boss man is having to do what he's paying us to do. Crap, he had to come behind the counter and help that customer while we're over here gabbing. One, that should be embarrassing to those workers, right? That's part of it, is like, humiliation without being aggressive. Because what we're doing is depending on them being good people. Because most people are, being honorable people, being, people of their word. Their word is they're going to come to work and service that customer. So now they know they didn't do it. They failed. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I took care of the customer. I made a bigger deal. I made a bigger point by slipping the package over and saying, you guys need to wrap this package for this customer. And then I went about my merry way, And what I would do, and who knows what he really did, but what I would do is slide the package over and say, our customer needs this wrapped up. I greatly appreciate it. Or hey, thanks for wrapping up this package for this customer, and slide it over to them, because now you're being polite, professional, being a leader, and you're leading by example because you got behind the counter and did the work. Because the worst thing you can be in the world is a leader or a boss who won't get your hands dirty. If you're the boss of a janitorial company, the best thing you can do is get down and scrub effing toilets. If you're the president of a college, one of the best things you can do is get down on your hands and knees and scrub the toilets with everybody else. You can't get anywhere if you're not willing to do it. Am I willing to do that on my channel? That's a great question. I don't know, for anybody who's listening, do I lead by example on my YouTube social media stuff? Because this is what I'm trying to translate here. So do I do that? Do you guys feel like I lead by example? Am I stepping up to the plate and doing what you expect out of me? Because once I know what you expect out of me, then I can make it a deliverable and make it happen. Public officials often criticize as not being accessible to their people. They are busy people, And the fault sometimes lies with the overprotective assistants who don't want to overburden their bosses. We have too many visitors. Yes. You know, a lot of managers, a lot of department heads, a lot of politicians says, we have an open door policy. Yeah, you do, but I can't get through your damn administrative assistant. So you really don't have one. And you're always busy somewhere. Even though when I drove up, I saw you sitting on the golf course, you know, you're too busy to talk to me. Carl Langford, who had been a mayor of Orlando, Florida, the home of Disney World for many years, frequently admonished his staff to allow people to see him. He claimed he had an open door policy, but yet the citizens of Orlando were blocked by secretaries and administrators when they called. So you put a big old sign out saying, I have an open door policy. Rick is in the house. Good to see you, Rick. How your work day going? You know, I have an open door policy. You guys are all welcome to come here. But first, I need you to get through my secretary, make an appointment, you know, and schedule it through my administrative assistant. But I have an open door policy. Come see me anytime. Just go through security, you know. So are you really that way or not? Finally, the mayor found a solution. He removed the door from his office. His aides got the message, and the mayor had a truly open administration from the day his door was symbolically open or thrown away. So his problem was he wanted to be an open policy, but his employees, and they wouldn't listen. I expect nothing out of you. I listen to your side of the way. You are older than me and have a lot more life experiences, and I try to make it fit in my way. Oh, thank you for that. I think that's fantastic because I think the golden key in the world to be successful is you look at what other people do and see if you can adopt the parts that you like, parts that are successful, into what you're doing. Because every situation is different, and the smartest people in the world understand that. Every situation is different. The other big thing, and this is something that we all do horribly, and I've tried hard not to do this, but I'm really back by it. Ricky says, hello, Ken, how are you, my friend? So many people begin criticism with a sincere phrase followed by the word but. Pat, can I pick on you a second? You know, Pat, I think you are an outstanding YouTuber, but I think you could do A, B, C, and D. Meaning I don't believe. I just erased everything you say before the word but. Hello, Brother Rick. Good to see you. So when you say but, what you're telling the person is what I just said was a bunch of bullshit. It wasn't honest. It wasn't sincere. I don't really believe it. Now I'm telling you what I really think after the but. So I try really hard in my life. I've worked really hard, and I'm not good at it. I'm not saying that. But I've worked really hard to get the but out of my vocabulary. And it's really hard to do. And I've instead of, because but's a negative word. And so I've tried to use a different transitional word that's more positive. I try to phrase when I'm saying, yeah, Pat, I think you're an outstanding YouTuber. You know, you got a great channel, and if you keep doing this and this and that, man, you're going to blow up and be gigantic. Versus me saying, but you don't do blah, 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 you don't do da-da-da, and you don't do da-da-da-da, right? You get what I mean? I think Pat does do do-do, but, you know, I'm just saying. Ken says, Rick, it's 86 here with a heat index of 103. That's not bad. It could be 104. So I'm staying in for the most of the day. How are you, my friend? Rick's a good guy. You guys need to subscribe to his channel. Check out his live streams. Ken's a good guy. He's got a YouTube channel. He's not as handsome as I am, but he's got a YouTube channel. But simply changing one 3-letter word can often spell the difference between failure and success in changing people without giving offense and arousing resentment. Remember, if we want people to come to our side, we don't need to piss them off, right? We don't need to humiliate them. We don't need to berate them. Now, if I don't want you to ever come and ring my doorbell again, I'm going to berate your happy ass. We have smoke in our air from forest fire. Really? You guys are having forest fires up north? Wow. I saw, is Missouri still getting a lot of flooding? Does anybody know? Off the wall question, absolutely. On a YouTube thing, are your thoughts on people that do not, let me reread this because I'm old. What is or your thoughts on people who do not think, but put, oh, so what do I think about the people that just don't put any text, don't write any words, they just throw emojis? From a YouTube thing, here's what I think. I think it's okay. Okay. Ken, it's a deep question, so but I want to tell you what I really believe. When somebody comes in and throws a whole lot of emojis up, it doesn't do you any good. That's not good for your channel. It's not good for them. But somebody who comes along that comes in and puts one or two emojis is okay. Now, if all they can do is put emojis, I'm not a big fan of that. I really like for them to comment once in a while, use real words. I would, whether they just say, hi, how are you? But a whole bunch of emojis, not good for the channel. Somebody using emojis are good for the channel, but they got to do it in moderation. So that's what I think. I hope that helps, Ken. Wow, smoke in Indiana, wow. Yeah, so, there you go. We need rain. I got rain yesterday. Does that help answer your question, Ken? Too many emojis, no bueno. Emojis here and there are good, right? Because it counts. But you definitely want to get people to engage in conversation. And a lot of people are too shy. And so what I suggest, and I try, I hope you guys realize, see, there goes Dennis. What I try is to figure out some way of getting the emoji person to use words. I try to figure out something I can ask them that might get them to respond in words versus just throwing up emojis. Now, one thing, yeah, Dennis is being funny. Dennis gets no arm candy today. But one thing you have to understand, there are people from other countries, like maybe India, Pakistan, other places, that don't understand the English or Brazil, Honduras, that can't type English, so they throw up a bunch of emojis. And I try to tell them when I recognize that's what it is, hey, love the emojis, love them, keep them coming, but only do 3 at a time. 3 at a time, and that's it. You guys see that fly by, man? 3 at a time. So that's one way you can do it. Say, hey, I appreciate all the emojis you're throwing up, but YouTube gets a little finicky, so maybe just do 3 at a time for me. Thank you, big, whatever it is, Dennis, no arm candy for Dennis. Yes, I do. I see it mostly from other countries, absolutely, 100%. I don't see it except for, Dennis is from another country, so there you go. That answers that question, Ken. Yes. Mostly other countries. And the weird thing is this, talking about emojis on YouTube, I think their emojis suck. Does anybody like the emojis that YouTube gives you to put on these? Why can't they have regular real emojis that we're all used to? Why do they have these weird little pink hand shit and things? I don't understand a pink hand. I don't understand what that means. I understand it now because somebody told me that it means somebody's waving at you. Well, great, I'm happy you're waving at me, but why would you wave at me with a pink hand? Who has a pink hand? Nobody has a pink hand. Not even a Pink Panther has a pink hand. His hands are white because he's wearing gloves. Man, get me going down a road, Ken. Someone we know does that on my channel. I don't like it. I mean, just try to be positive, spin it around as a positive, and then encourage them to, maybe part of your being positive is saying, man, I really appreciate the emojis, love them. Be really cool, but, if you can only do 3 and find some really cool ones, I'd like to see some new ones, but only do 3 at a time or I get in trouble. Because if you say you're going to get in trouble for it, then maybe the people will have mercy on you and go, oh, I didn't know you were getting in trouble. Because they don't care if they get in trouble, right? How are they going to get in trouble on YouTube for using too many emojis? But you can say, but YouTube will get me in trouble. Ken says, Dennis, hello, by the way, Thank you for all the emojis. Let's see. Where was I? All right. Talking about the big ass word but. One of the worst words in the modern language, but. So let's give an example of this. For example, in trying to change a child's careless attitudes towards his studies, we might say, "We're really proud of you, little Johnny, for raising your grades this term. But if you had worked harder on your algebra, the results would have even been better. But if you would have studied 2 years ago, like we told you, you wouldn't flunk the 3rd grade, and now you're back in the 4th grade, and blah, 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 blah. So we're very proud of you for not flunking this year, but," you know, just saying. I have a kid says, "Nah, I have tried that, and it seems to make it worse." Well, then you put them in timeout. Seriously, then they're just doing it to be agitators, right, Ken? So what I would do is simply say, "Look, I understand you didn't get my message, so YouTube is putting you in timeout. So, sorry, hopefully we'll see you again, but you didn't get the message. YouTube is going to put you in timeout. Don't say you're putting them in timeout. YouTube will do it." But Brazilian, Australian butts can be amazing. Butts can be amazing. And now one. I'm gonna get myself in trouble because I'm married. But how many fake butts are there out there now? There are so many Lululemon crapping clothes and fake. Did you know there's a gigantic industry to making girls' butts look better than they actually are? Did you know this? There's a gigantic industry. Money, billions of dollars for girls wearing clothes that's trying to make their butts look better than they are. I don't get it. Just be who you are. Yes, it was like a pain in the butt to take the 3rd grade over 14 times. AC butt, arm candy butts. Well, they can only be arm candy if they got the foundation, and the foundation is the butt, right? You got to start somewhere. But we could easily help poor old Johnny not hate us as parents. So it could be easily overcome by changing the word "but" to "and." We're really proud of you, Johnny, raising your grades this term. And if you can, and as you continue the same constant effort the next term, your algebra grades can be up with all of the others. You can do it. I do that to my wife all the time. I don't do any negativity. I've been trying to get my wife for 14 years to go back to school. My God, I planted that seed 14 years ago. It took root a tiny bit, then it kind of died on the vine. And now all of a sudden, she decided on her own. You guys, this is why you guys got to tell her, don't tell her why. But when you see my wife, you got to tell her how proud you are of her. She's going back to school. I'm very proud of her. After 14 years, she woke up one day and said, I think I'm going to go to school. And holy shit. Not that I haven't said it 50,000 times every day. There you go. Just saying. One of my pet peeves is when women are naturally beautiful that run it by adding, I agree with that. We have friends here. Well, I don't know. Now look, kid, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be honest. I don't know if we have any friends, any Filipino friends. I think there's so much pettiness in the Filipino community. I don't know if we have any real friends because we're not into the drama. My wife's not into it. We don't participate in the drama. I call it out on the internet, and I know they watch our internet here, our social media. I know they follow us. They don't like us because David is too blunt about a lot of things. But one of the worst things about some of these girls is the makeup. And I've called it out. Dennis knows, we've talked about this. If you got to wear makeup to feel like you're pretty, then it's a psychological issue, right? And I'm serious about that. Even for us men, I don't know. If I got to wear a tropical shirt and a pretty hat to feel good, then there's a psychological issue. If you got to wear 27 pounds of makeup, there's a problem with you inside. And somebody's taught you wrong. Jason tells us, what is she taking in school? I don't know. All right. Jason, let me say this, okay? Because I got to be real quiet. Because I don't want to disrupt her flow. So I haven't asked. She just started. So I'm letting her get into it, and I'm letting her get it. She's telling me about some of it, and I'm listening, but I'm not quite for sure where she's going yet. I'm just letting her. I know if I interject, if I say anything, I could derail her, right? And I don't want to do that. So she'll be telling me here soon, because I'll pick it up as we go along. As she tells me about, oh, I did this, I did that, I will figure it out without me sticking my nose in and acting like I know. You know what I mean? Psychology. True story. The last and only time I wore makeup, I looked like the Frankenstein monster. It was Halloween. So why haven't you taken it off yet? Well, smart man guides, quietly guides. And I know the other day she was talking like, oh, she did something that was really hard. And I said, wow, I'm really proud of you. That's great. I know you can do it. But, you know, so we don't want to use the word but. We're going to and. We're going to do positive. But's negative. But takes you down a bad road, right? Everybody agree? Good. Now, Johnny would accept the praise because there was no follow-up of interference or inference of failure. So mama and daddy didn't say, you know, little Johnny, we like you, but you're ugly and you smell and you're stinky and shit, and we prefer you go live in the closet. Well, there you go. You called attention to the behavior that you want to change. Positive reinforcement. You know, when wives do good, we positively reinforce them. When they do bad, we don't acknowledge it. Kind of one thing I've learned, when people do bad, unless you just have to step in and stop it, a lot of times you don't acknowledge it. But then when they do good, emphasize the good, don't acknowledge the bad. If you acknowledge the bad, you give it power and energy. So don't acknowledge it unless you have to, unless you got to step in and smack the dude in the Walmart parking lot for being a dickhead. That's a little different, right? But for the most time, when somebody's just being a dickhead, just let him be a dickhead. You know, he'll figure it out. Chasing tail. Hello, I too live on the beach while golfing. Yeah. Chasing tails in your part of the world, if I remember right. No, makeup for me. That's why I'm with one of the one I'm with. And a little lipstick is okay. I agree. Yeah. How are you doing? I mean, I asked you earlier if you guys got married yet, and I guess you haven't. But I think you if it's the same one, chasing tail, congratulations, and you got a good one, and you're good. Same thing with my wife. My wife doesn't wear much makeup unless we're doing something, then she has some basic stuff, but she knows I don't like that. And my wife's not into that. But we have friends that, I'm telling you, we know girls that if I could get all of the makeup off of their face, I could package it and resell it and make money. Lawson in the house. Good to see you, Lawson. How are you, my friend? How are the things in your part of the state? Thank you all for saying hello to Lawson. I've been missing people. Thank you all for saying hello to the people that I miss. Ken, Pat, everybody, I really appreciate. Because sometimes we miss people in the chat. So Lawson, good to have you, buddy. Well, not really. I didn't do terrible. What did you do? Did I miss you again? Lawson was playing golf. All right. Lawson, I'm sorry. I missed some of your statements earlier, buddy. But thank you for being here, man. We appreciate it. So you're out. Lawson is a young prodigy golfer. If you guys didn't know, one, he's brilliant and handsome, charming, and he's really smart because he lives in my state and he follows my channel, so that makes him brilliant. But someday he's going to be the president of the United States and go golfing on the weekends. He's going to be he's going to be a professional golfer, or he's going to be an airline pilot, one of the two. Ken does golfing. For me, personally, par is 172. I have know what that means because I don't golf. I like to drive golf carts on golf courses and look at them, but I don't golf. Congratulations on the 87. I guess that must be good. Whereas 87 is age. So calling attention indirectly to somebody's mistakes works wonders with sensitive people who may resent bitterly any direct criticism, right? We know this. So we have to take the temperament into consideration. Some of us, you can't really offend. Some people get offended easily. And we know people in the social media world that get so damn offended by any little thing. I don't get offended. I don't care enough. You can't offend me. But a smart person would take that in consideration. I know, for instance, that Ken has a pretty thick skin, Pat has a thick skin, but I do know other followers don't. So when I'm teasing or harassing or bothering them, I take that into consideration. And you guys should too. You got to need to know your audience, because remember your end goal. What is your end goal? That's not bad, Ken. The more you play, the lower. Yeah, Ken's old. Ken's like 900 years old. He's been playing forever, so his score's not getting any lower, Lawson. That's what I keep hearing. So let's see what this example is. Marge Jacob of Woodsocket, Rhode Island, told one of our classes how she convinced some sloppy construction workers to clean up after themselves, damn construction workers, when they were building addition to her house. And I have a problem with this too. Job sites need to be clean. It pisses me off when they're not. So, but I found ways to deal with it. And let's see what she did. For the first few days of work, when Mrs. Jacob returned from her job, she noticed that the yard was strewn with cut ends of lumber. She didn't want to antagonize the builders because they did excellent work, and we don't want them to shit all over your building and cause violation codes. So in this situation, you need them to finish their job. You need them to, so you kind of got to play a thin line. There's a thin line here, because if you piss them off, maybe they will do really bad work. It's kind of like when you tell the cook or the waiter gets mad at you, and she goes back into the restaurant and tells the cook to spit in your food. Same concept. Lawson, what beach do you play at? Sorry. And if you don't mind me asking, Mark is in the house. Mark, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. Thank you for coming in and sharing and thumbs up. Everybody say hello to Mark. Mark's been a long-time follower. Thank you, Mark. How are you, buddy? I play the local par 3 courses. All right, nice. Karina from Honduras is back in the house. So after the workers had gone home, she and her children picked up and neatly piled up all the lumber and debris into one corner. The following morning, she called the foreman on the side and said, "I'm really pleased with the way my front lawn was left last night. It is nice and clean and does not offend the neighbors or cause tripping and safety hazards for my children to die on." From that day forward, the workers picked up and piled the debris on to one side. The foreman came in each day seeking approval of the conditions of the lawn. I've done the same thing. I've actually gone on sites and done the work myself. Picked it up, got trash cans out, start picking shit up, getting things working. It embarrasses the worker without embarrassing the worker. And it sets an expectation. And then you set it up, you do the work and tell the guys, "Hey man, I appreciate all your hard work, and keeping the job site clean and blah, blah, blah." You don't come in and attack, because you need them. One of the major areas of controversy between members of the Army Reserves and the regular Army trainers is haircuts. The reservists consider this not civilians, which they are most of the time, and resent having to cut their hair so short when I guess they go to weekend duty, right? Master Sergeant Harley of the 542nd U.S. AR School addressed himself to this problem when he was working with a group of reservists, non-commissioned officers. As an old-time regular Army Master Sergeant, he might have been expected to yell at his troops and threaten them. Instead, he chose to make a point indirectly. Ken says, "I used to play against younger players, but they all beat me to death. And Lawson would whoop you against the course." Gentlemen, this is how he did it indirectly. "Gentlemen," he stated, "you are leaders. You will be the most effective when you lead by example." Gee, you guys have probably been hearing me say that, haven't you? "Gentlemen, you are excellent leaders, and you will be even more effective and great leaders when you do it by example. You know what the Army regulation says about haircuts. I'm going to get my hair cut today, although it is still much shorter than some of yours, you look at yourself in the mirror. And if you feel the need for a haircut to be a good example for the others, we will arrange time for you to visit the Post Barbershop. So basically he's saying, look, you got to lead by example, and if you're really you got to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And now I'm going to provide you the opportunity to fix the problem. I'm going to get you on the base, and we're going to cut your hair, if you want it. If you're man enough to say, I need to be a leader, and a leader does it like this. Results was predictable. Several of the candidates did look in the mirror and went to the barbershop that afternoon, received their regulation haircuts, which made the sergeant very happy. An effective way to correct others' mistakes is to call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Remember, we don't like to be confronted. Confrontation doesn't work. Confrontation has a purpose in the world, but if it's not going to get your end goal, then confrontation needs to be rethought, refocused. Karina says, hello again. Well, I got to go. See everybody later. Lawson, have a good day, buddy. I hope you enjoyed. Hope your weather is great on your side of the state. Take care, my friend. Everybody say goodbye to Lawson. All right. All right. Well, I'm gonna get through this last chapter. We got chapter and a half. So the other thing we need to do is talk about our own mistakes. When you're trying to get people on your side to go along with what you want, and I talk about this on YouTube, not only to help you guys, but hope that you have empathy and sympathy for me, how much I've screwed up on YouTube. So talk about your own mistakes first. Is how to be a good worker, make money, influence people, and be happy. My niece, Josephine Carnegie, remember this is Dale Carnegie, wrote these books way back in the day, had come to New York to be my secretary. Woohoo! She was 19 years old, had graduated from high school 3 years previously. Wow, that's pretty good. And her business experience was tripled more than zero. She became one of the most proficient secretaries west of Sussex. But in the beginning, she was, well, in need of a lot of improvement. One day when I started to criticize her, I said to myself, just wait a minute. You are twice as old as Josephine. You have 10,000 times more business experience than Josephine. How can you possibly expect her to have your viewpoint, your judgment, your innovation, and understand the things that you already understand? How do you expect somebody to know what you know? We can't. And I've been in that situation 1,000, 100 million times. Stay off of the beaches, yes. And so I had to stop to think about, wait a minute, what was I doing at 19? Uh-oh. Remember the mistakes and blunders you made at 19? Remember the time you did this and that? After thinking it over for a while, honestly and partially, I concluded that Josephine batting average at 19 was better than mine was. Josephine was smarter, better, sharper than I was at 19. She just wasn't where I was at 50, right? Our wives, our young Filipino wives are this way. I've had this personal experience. My wife is super, super smart. But when she first came to, about the knowledge of America, when she came to America, of course, she had no knowledge of America. And I made a lot of mistakes in both directions. Sometimes I went the other way. I let her just have the run of it by trial and error to fail and to succeed. And there's a lot of times I would forget she doesn't know. She never experienced this. So how would she know about A, B, C, and D? So after that, I wanted to call Josephine attention to a mistake. I used to begin by saying, Josephine, dumb girl, you made a mistake. And here's what it is. So you know where this story's going. But instead, instead what he's done, let's see here. But Lord knows it's no worse than many I have made myself. You were not born of judgment. That comes only with experience. And you are better than I was at your age. I have been guilty of so many stupid, silly things myself. I've tried very little. Um, so what we have to recognize is we're judging them on based on our knowledge. We can't do that. There's a lot of young people, a lot of YouTubers that come in here, a lot of people come in and they're doing this and that. We can't expect them to know the things that we know and to do the things that we do. But what we can do is teach them about it. And one thing I guess I've been blessed with is the ability to slow things down and say, Josephine, hey, you know, when I was back doing A, B, and C, give an example. You know, I realized that formatting, I used to format letters in this way. But I learned the hard way, it's the wrong format. We have to do a different format for these letters that we're sending out. And here's the format. So let me walk you through the format. Versus saying, Josephine, how come you don't know how to format the damn letter? You get more with honey than you do with vinegar. That's the crust of this story. This is something that I do, and I did in my teaching career. Because, like, here's a paragraph that says, like many engineers, I have not been noted for my excellent English or spelling. So they're saying, I'm a great engineer, but I can't spell a damn lick, right? Versus like medical people have to be excellent spellers. So for years, I've kept a little black thumb book of words I have trouble spelling. When it becomes apparent and merely point out the errors, I was not going to cause my secretary to do more proofreading and dictionary work. I resolved to take the other approach, which the next letter came to my attention, had errors in it. I sat down with the typist and said, somehow this word doesn't look right. I've done that, and I do that to myself. And this is the words, if. It's one of the words that I've always had trouble with. That's the reason I started the spelling book of mine. I opened the book, and what I do is the spelling and the definition. And now that we have the internet at our fingertips, I use dictionary.com all the time. When I'm doing and I use the computer write my sentences a lot. I do that. I type something and I let the computer do whatever the computer going to do. And sometimes I miss things that the computer didn't get it right. Because maybe I didn't type it in right or whatever it is. But the one thing I've learned in this situation is I make notes. If there's words that I have real trouble with, I write them down. I put the definition with them. I got a notebook full of shit. I did this as a college professor all the time. I wanted to make sure the words I was telling my students I could spell correctly. But I also, because I have dyslexia, and so four-letter words are really bad for me, believe it or not. I have problems with four-letter words. Numbers, not so much. Four-letter words, a lot. But I also cut everybody with slack and say, all right. But what we need to do is, instead of criticizing, we got to learn the process. We got to learn the problem. We got to admit that we don't know. And I do this now. I ask people, I ask Lorelai all the time, is this the right word? This word doesn't look right. Am I spelling this correct? And then I'll go to Google or dictionary.com and look it up. Like beach. Ken is talking about beach. Beach can be spelled, right? Two different ways. You can easily spell it without the A and throw another E in there, right? So then you look at it and go, well, that's not right, you know? And one of the incredible things, when we admit our own mistakes, we grow, we learn, and we do better. When we do better, then the other people around us do better, right? We elevate everybody else. When we admit, like me, I've told Pat and many, many thousands of other people has asked me, what mistakes am I? Oh, I put out too many videos. In the early years, I was putting videos out like this because that's what I thought you were supposed to do. You don't do that. We would put out 2 or 3 a week. Now I just got a lot of videos that sit there. I got well over 1,000 videos, 1,300 videos. Nah, I shouldn't have done that. I should have saved those topics, strategized them better, laid them out instead of just throwing shit up against the wall and hope it stuck on social media. Shouldn't have done that. And now I'd like to go back and redo some of those for the modern world because now they're old and not very good, and I wasn't very good. Lighting wasn't good. You know, I didn't know what YouTube was about in the beginnings. I made lots of mistakes. Lots of mistakes. Something important to understand. What's your end goal? How can you get there? Own up your mistakes. And I told you guys the other day, one of the things I like to do the most in meetings at the college was, because it always pissed me off. We always had all these damn meetings and committees and all this other bullshit, right? And they would be arguing over a point. Well, you know, and I'm like, fine, I did it. I'm the one who screwed it up. Okay, move on. Because nobody wanted to take ownership of what they did. And my boss was one of these people that loved to just drag shit out forever. He would want to debate it and talk about it and think, I'm like, fuck that. Look, I'll just do it, and if it's wrong, I'll fix it tomorrow. That was my philosophy. And so I had no problem owning my own. No, I'm the one who did that. I screwed that one up. No, I thought we could do it this way. It didn't work, so now let's do it this way. But I was also the guy that I'd go to these meetings, committee meetings, and I'd hear these people arguing back and forth. Who did wrong? I had nothing to do with it, but I would just say, look, sake of the argument, it was my mistake. And they're like, well, no, it wasn't. I'm like, I don't care. I'll take blame. It's my mistake. Now let's move on and learn from that mistake. What did we learn? And I would tell these people with PhDs all over the damn place, what did we learn by that mistake? I learned when I chose to make a decision in my field and it didn't work, or it only worked half-assed, I learned something from it. Then I would take that and build upon it. But you own your mistakes and go on. Karina says, I know you're such of a handsome young man. The other big thing, and a lot of us who are related to the Asian world, we all know this. But even in an American culture, an American world, the greatest thing that we can do, the smartest thing we can do, is let people save face. One thing that is not going to end well is when you drive somebody into the dirt and stomp on them. I tell people all the time, now I'm a hothead when I was younger. You know, I had no troubles. You know, I was a big guy. I bench pressed a lot. I squatted a lot. I had no problem with enjoying a bar fight. You know, I had no problem with humiliating people. But as I got older and realized what my goals were, you got to give people a way out. When you start to put them in the corner, you got to realize the smart person, the person who's going to get what they want in the end, let somebody out. Because you can take somebody, right, who you need to criticize, who's done wrong, and you can either make an enemy out of them, right, by not letting them save face, by humiliating them, then they become an enemy. But if there's something going on in social media, work, life, anywhere, give your wife, give your kids a way out. You give them a way out, then they can become a supporter of you, right? When we build somebody up, recognize them, and shine them as a shining star for what they do, they will become a supporter for you. That's what I've done. And I think I've done a really good job over the years learning to do that better. You got to let people save face. When they're wrong, don't humiliate them. Filipinos are really bad. Japan, all these Asian countries, but America's the same way. We have to let people save face to get to the end goal. What is your end goal? Is your end goal just to torture them and to embarrass them? Or is your end goal to grow your channel, to grow your social media empire, to make those widgets, whatever it is? That's okay. You can say it as much as you like. McDowell, yes. So I want you to, every situation you get into, if it's a conflict of any type, make sure that you think about how you can save face. And I'm one of these people that I would rather take the humiliation myself, and that's what I would do in meetings. I did it. You know, I don't need to save face. Just blame it on me and move on. And you let those other people off the hook is what we need to do. And we have to do this with our family, our wives, you know, bad employees. You know, you go to Walmart and that cashier is being an absolute asswipe. Well, let them off the hook, because what does it really matter? They're having a bad day. It's horrible. Yes. Could we point out and torture them even more? Yeah, we could. Or we could be a good leader by example and recognize, hey, Judy, I know that it seems like you're not enjoying your day here at Walmart. Well, I enjoy you helping me though. Just understand I appreciate you. You got to let them off the hook. When somebody is wrong and they start to see that they're wrong, give them a way out. And we do have friends on the social media world that won't do that. And part of their alienation of people is there are people that are so steadfast. No, I'm right. I'm the only one that's right. I'm the only one who could even possibly know this answer. Everybody else is wrong. You're not going to ever change that person's mind. And I'm going to go a step further and tell you, it doesn't do any good to humiliate them because they can't recognize that they're wrong. But when you see somebody needing a way out, you got to let them out. But the people that don't think there's a way out because they're right, just you're wasting your time on them. Don't teach them anymore. Don't tell them anything anymore. All right, our book is over, ladies and gentlemen. Our book, we're going to start next week a new book, or maybe, next week we're going to start a new book. I haven't decided which one yet. So this week, last couple of weeks, we've been reading How to Enjoy Your Life and Your Job by Dale Carnegie. You guys have been excellent students, I will say, except for maybe Ken could have improved himself, but that's okay. Remember, the last take from this part is be a leader, be a role model, let people off the hook, think about your end goal and your end product. All right, that's enough of the book. You guys see the book? This is what we've been doing. So next week we'll do a new book in the mornings. Our morning live streams are going to be about books and about talking shit. And then in the evenings we'll do more fun stuff, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we'll do some StreamYard live streams next week. Maybe Ken or Pat wants to join me for a StreamYard next week. Would anybody like to be on StreamYard next week? Pat, Ken, anybody? Dennis, would you guys like to do StreamYard maybe Monday night? If so, I'll put one together and we can do a Monday night StreamYard, a panel. If you guys don't know what StreamYard is, it allows you to have multiple people up on the camera at the same time and have discussions. So, but let me get off here. It's after 12. So Pat, everybody, Dennis, even Dennis went looking for arm candy. Everybody that's been here, thank you all for the thumbs up. Shout out, the shares, the likes, the financial windfall that YouTube is bringing us. But, all right, ladies and gentlemen, great to see you all. Thank you for attending class, and we will see you guys next week. Take care, everybody. Let me know if you need anything. Just email me or go to our Facebook group. Ricky, good to see you again. I hope you have a great day. Stay away from the smoke. But go to Facebook and find us. We have the group there, the Philippine-American Couple Group, and we have another group about relations between the two governments. And then, of course, you have my email address, and, of course, you can always, message me or whatever. And we'll talk to you guys a little bit later in the week.